The vast emptiness between Mars and Jupiter had always been perfect for hiding secrets. What better place to conceal humanity's greatest weapon than within the chaotic tumble of the asteroid belt? Thousands of rocky bodies, from pebbles to planetoids, masked the true nature of what lay inside: Titanus. Admiral Elena Vale stood at the command center viewport, her weathered face reflected against the backdrop of distant stars. At 53, she carried the weight of humanity's hopes on shoulders that had once hauled mining equipment in these very asteroids. Now, she commanded the most powerful weapon ever conceived. "Status report," she said, her voice carrying the unmistakable authority that had elevated her through the ranks. Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Tanaka approached with a tablet. "All systems nominal, Admiral. The fusion cores are stable, and the outer shell maintains perfect camouflage. External sensors detect no unusual activity in neighboring sectors." Elena nodded. 25 years of secret construction had finally culminated in this moment. Titanus wasn't merely a warship. It was a planet-turned weapon, an asteroid fortress with the power to change the galactic balance forever. "Any word from Earth Command?" she asked. "Nothing new, Admiral. President Mendoza maintains communication silence except for scheduled updates." She sighed, eyes trailing across the bustling command center where 300 of Earth's finest officers monitored systems that could destroy solar systems. Humanity's position in the Galactic Alliance had degraded over centuries into little more than skilled labor, disposable workers for the higher species. Few knew how deep the humiliation cut, how the silent rage had fueled the creation of Titanus. The communication panel chimed, drawing her attention. "Incoming encrypted transmission from Altair System Scout, Priority Alpha." Elena straightened her uniform jacket. "Put it through to my private chamber." In the small room adjacent to the command center, she entered her authorization code. The screen flickered to life, revealing the haggard face of Scout Commander Ben Taylor. "Admiral Vale," Taylor's voice cracked. They're exterminating them. The Vorak fleet entered Altair's orbit 6 hours ago. It's not an invasion. It's systematic genocide." The footage shifted to orbital views of Altair Prime. Beautiful spires of crystal and light that had stood for millennia. Architectural marvels created by a peaceful civilization dedicated to art and philosophy were crumbling under relentless bombardment. Between the images of destruction, Elena glimpsed civilians being herded into collection centers, their faces masks of terror. "The Altarians refused mining rights," Taylor continued. "They claimed their mountains were sacred, held spiritual significance. The Vorak Admiral Kresh gave them 1 day to reconsider. Then, this." Elena's fist clenched. "Casualties?" "Millions already. The Vorak are targeting population centers first. The Galactic Alliance Council has been notified, but claims they need time for proper investigation. They've dispatched an observer team that won't arrive for days, by which time there will be no one left to save." Elena finished grimly. "Stay hidden, Commander. Continue documentation, but your safety is paramount. Veil out." She stood motionless for several moments, then opened a secure channel to Earth. President Raul Mendoza's face appeared almost instantly, as if he'd been waiting. "You've seen the Altair footage?" she asked without preamble. His dark eyes held a cold fury. "I have. The Council is stalling. 3 Alliance representatives actually suggested the Altarians brought this on themselves by refusing reasonable resource requests. Their pacifism makes them easy targets." "Like humans were once," Elena said quietly. Mendoza was silent for a long moment. Then, "I am initiating Protocol X. Admiral Vale. The Titanus project is hereby activated, under your full command. Stop the Vorak. Save what remains of Altair." "Sir, once we reveal Titanus, there's no going back. The Alliance will know we've violated every treaty, every agreement. They violated the spirit of those agreements generations ago, when they reduced us to their laborers and cannon fodder. Mendoza's voice was steel. The decision is made. Humanity hides in the shadows no longer. Elena saluted. Yes, Mr. President. Back on the bridge, she addressed her command staff. Attention. We have received activation orders. Titanus is now operational. Primary mission: stop the genocide at Altair and neutralize the Vorak threat. Around her, faces registered shock, then determination. These officers had trained for years, knowing this day might come, but the reality still struck hard. Begin power-up sequence for all systems. Navigation, plot course to Altair system. Weapons. Run final diagnostics. Dr. Adira Nakamura. Report to engineering for antimatter engine activation. We deploy in 6 hours. As the command center erupted into controlled activity, Lieutenant Kai Sorensen approached, young and idealistic. He was one of the few who sometimes questioned the militaristic approach of Titanus. Admiral, are we really doing this? Revealing ourselves to the Alliance? Elena studied him. Lieutenant, have you ever witnessed a genocide? No, ma'am. I have. Earth's history is filled with them, and I've seen footage of 3 more during my lifetime. Each time, the Alliance did nothing because the victims were less developed species. Today, that ends. She softened slightly. We're not starting a war, Sorensen. We're stopping one. Intelligence Officer Jax Corin slipped quietly to her side as Sorensen departed. Admiral, there's something you should know. My sources indicate the Vorak may be acting under direction from the Creative Collective. Elena's blood chilled. The Creative Collective, the oldest and most advanced species in the Alliance, supposedly remained neutral in all conflicts. If they were secretly orchestrating the elimination of species like the Altarians. Evidence, she demanded. Communication patterns and resource allocations. Nothing direct, but the statistical anomalies are compelling. Keep digging. If the Collective is behind this, we're facing something far bigger than Vorak aggression. The following hours passed in a flurry of activity. Chief Engineer Hiroko Takahashi, a brilliant woman whose innovations had made the antimatter drive possible, reported from the engine room. Antimatter containment fields at optimal levels, reaction chambers primed and stable. Her voice carried the quiet pride of someone who had created something revolutionary. We can achieve full power without risking containment breach. In the weapons bay, Dr. Omar Reyes supervised the final calibration of the plasma cannons, weapons capable of cutting through planetary crusts. Admiral, requesting permission for a 20% power test firing. Granted, but use the asteroid testing range. No energy signatures should escape the belt. When the test firing results came in, even the stoic Dr. Reyes couldn't hide his astonishment. The focused beam maintained integrity over 400,000 kilometers. At full power, we could disable an entire fleet with precise targeting. As the deployment hour approached, Elena retreated to her quarters for a rare moment of reflection. On her desk sat a photograph of her parents, miners who had died in a regrettable accident when an Alliance ship had jettisoned toxic waste into their work sector. 30 years had passed, but the Alliance representative's dismissive words still burned in her memory. Unfortunate, but they were only human workers. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Admiral to the bridge. Final preparations complete. The massive engines of Titanus hummed to life, vibrating through the structure's core as the asteroid facade prepared to partially separate, revealing the propulsion systems while maintaining the illusion of a natural body. The moment had arrived. Standing tall on the command bridge, Elena gave the order that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Titanus, deploy! The journey to Altair pushed the revolutionary propulsion system to its limits. What would have taken conventional ships weeks was accomplished in days, as Titanus tore through space at velocities that bent the fabric of reality around it. Chief Engineer Takahashi monitored the antimatter engines with obsessive attention, knowing that the slightest miscalculation could transform their warship into a supernova. During the journey, Elena ordered the interception of a Vorak scout patrol. The alien vessels, sleek, predatory shapes with characteristic red energy signatures, never had a chance to report what they encountered. Titanus's outer defenses neutralized them with surgical precision, leaving no debris, no witnesses. "We've captured their commander and 3 officers," Security Chief Marcus Webb reported. "They're in holding cell A." Elena descended to the detention level, where force fields contained the Vorak prisoners. Tall, reptilian humanoids with iridescent scales and eyes adapted for darkness. They hissed as she approached. Their commander, distinguished by elaborate cranial ridges, stepped forward. "You have committed an act of war against the Vorak hegemony," he snarled in the Alliance common language. "Who are you to interfere in matters beyond your understanding?" "I am Admiral Elena Vale of Earth," she replied calmly. "And we understand perfectly what happens at Altair. Genocide is not a complicated concept." The Vorak commander's surprise quickly transformed into contempt. "Humans? Workers dare to attack warriors? The Alliance will crush your pathetic rebellion." "Perhaps. But first, you will tell me about your orders regarding Altair, and what connection the Creative Collective has to this operation." The commander's eyes narrowed, a flicker of something, fear, crossing his face before it disappeared behind arrogance. "I know nothing of the Collective. The Altarians denied us resources we required. Their punishment serves as example to others who might defy the natural order." "Natural order?" Elena echoed. "Interesting phrase. Where did you hear it?" The Vorak remained silent. "Your fleet will be destroyed if it continues its attack on Altair," she said matter-of-factly. "We have the capability and the will." "Impossible!" the commander hissed. "No human vessel could challenge a Vorak battle fleet." Elena smiled thinly. "You're aboard a human vessel right now, Commander. One that captured you without effort. Consider that while you contemplate your situation." As she turned to leave, the Vorak called after her. "You have no idea what forces you're challenging, human. Some powers in this galaxy cannot be defied." She paused at the doorway. "We'll see." Back on the bridge, tension mounted as they approached the Altair system. Intelligence Officer Corrin's analysis of the captured Vorak ship's data had revealed disturbing patterns. "Admiral, I've found communications that suggest coordination between the Vorak and entities within the Creative Collective," Corrin reported. "Heavily encrypted, but the quantum signatures match known collective protocols." "Can you determine what the communications contain?" "Not yet. Their encryption is beyond our current capabilities." Elena absorbed this information grimly. If the Collective, the supposed moral and intellectual leaders of the Alliance, were secretly orchestrating attacks on peaceful species, humanity's decision to create Titanus had been more prescient than they'd realized. "Continue your work. Find me proof if possible." Meanwhile, the tactical situation at Altair deteriorated hourly. Reports from Scout Commander Taylor showed the Vorak systematically destroying Altarian infrastructure and rounding up survivors for what appeared to be forced labor operations. "They're prioritizing the cultural centers." Taylor's voice was ragged with exhaustion. "Libraries, universities, art repositories, all targeted first. It's not just conquest. They're erasing Altarian civilization." In the officers' mess, debate raged about their approach. Several senior officers advocated for immediate, overwhelming force, revealing Titanus in a spectacular attack that would annihilate the Vorak fleet before they could respond. "The element of surprise is our greatest advantage," argued Colonel Diana West, head of the Marine contingent. "Hit them with everything. End it quickly." "And then what?" countered Lieutenant Kai Sorensen. "We'd be exposed, possibly facing the entire Alliance military response, with no chance to explain our actions." "The lieutenant has a point," Elena said as she entered, silencing the room. Our mission isn't just military, it's political. We need to demonstrate both our power and our restraint. She outlined her plan. Titanus would enter the Altair system under stealth, position itself between the Vorak fleet and the planet, then reveal itself with an ultimatum, rather than an immediate attack. We give them one chance to withdraw, one chance to choose peace. And if they refuse, Colonel West asked, then we show them exactly what humanity has become while they weren't paying attention. Elena replied. As they neared Altair, another challenge emerged. The training of the 10,000 elite soldiers aboard Titanus intensified, preparing for possible ground operations. Lieutenant Sorensen, assigned as liaison to the Marine units, reported growing concerns. The men and women are ready, Admiral, but they're struggling with the mission parameters. They've been told for years they're training to defend Earth. Now suddenly they're risking their lives for aliens most have never seen. Bring the unit commanders to Observation Deck 3 in 1 hour, Elena ordered. When the 20 commanders assembled, Elena directed their attention to the viewing screen, which displayed live footage from Altair's surface, Altarian children being separated from parents, elders executed when they couldn't keep pace, cultural artifacts smashed beneath Vorak boots. This is why we fight, she said simply. Not just for Earth, not just for humans, but for a principle. That genocide is unacceptable regardless of who the victims are. Today it's Altarians. Tomorrow, it could be us. She paused, letting the images speak. Humanity was once nearly destroyed by its own divisions. We learned the hard way that civilization means standing for something beyond tribal interests. The commanders watched in silence. Then, one by one, nodded their understanding. The message would filter down to their troops. This wasn't about conquest or even retribution. It was about justice. As Titanus entered the outer reaches of the Altair system, Elena ordered full stealth protocols. The ship's revolutionary absorption technology, developed by Dr. Omar Reyes, rendered them virtually invisible to conventional scanners, appearing as nothing more significant than a small, unremarkable asteroid. The Vorak fleet dominated Altair's orbit, 12 capital ships surrounded by dozens of destroyers and hundreds of fighters, systematically bombarding the surface, while transport vessels shuttled between the planet and larger prison ships. Position us between the fleet and Altair Prime, Elena ordered. Weapon systems to full readiness. Communications. Prepare a multi-spectrum broadcast to the Vorak command ship. Lieutenant Sorensen, who had earned her respect during the journey, stood at the tactical station. His hands moved confidently over the controls, but she noted the slight tremor that betrayed his tension. Admiral, he said quietly, whatever happens next changes everything for us, for Earth, for the galaxy. She placed a hand briefly on his shoulder. Some changes are necessary, Lieutenant. Sometimes the universe needs correction. All stations report ready, announced Commander Takahashi from engineering. Antimatter drive in standby mode. Weapons primed. Shields at maximum capacity. Elena took a deep breath. Countless simulations had prepared them for this moment. But reality carried weights that training could never fully replicate. Disengage stealth systems. Reveal Titanus. The asteroid facade fell away, sections retracting to expose the true nature of the vessel, a technological marvel of gleaming metals and pulsing energy fields, bristling with weapons that dwarfed anything in the Vorak arsenal. At 16 kilometers in diameter, Titanus wasn't merely a ship. It was a mobile battle station with the mass and firepower of a small moon. The Vorak fleet's reaction was immediate and predictable. Ships broke formation, scrambling into defensive positions, weapons powering up as frantic communications buzzed between vessels. Channel open to Vorak Command, reported Communications Officer Sarah Chang. Elena stood, adjusting her uniform. Her image would be the first human face many of these aliens had ever truly noticed. No longer a servant or laborer, but an equal power. This is Admiral Elena Vale of the Earth vessel Titanus. Your attack on Altair constitutes genocide under Alliance law. You are ordered to cease all hostilities, withdraw your forces, and release all Altarian captives immediately. For several tense moments, there was no response. Then the screen filled with the image of a Vorak admiral, his scales darkened with age, eyes burning with indignation. I am Admiral Kresh of the Vorak hegemony. Your interference is unlawful and unwelcome. Humans have no authority here. Withdraw your vessel, or face destruction. Look again at what confronts you, Admiral Kresh. Elena replied evenly. Scan us. Assess our capabilities. Then reconsider your position. Kresh's eyes narrowed. The Alliance will never permit. The Alliance isn't here, Elena cut in. We are. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation procedures. After that, we will demonstrate why that would be wise. She signaled to cut the transmission. They're scanning us intensively, reported the sensor officer. Their ships are maneuvering to surround us. Let them try, Elena said. Tactical. Prepare a demonstration. Target one uninhabited moon with the plasma cannon at 10% power. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the massive weapon system charged. Designed by Dr. Omar Reyes after decades of theoretical research, the plasma cannon concentrated energy to a degree previously thought impossible. Target locked, Lieutenant Sorensen confirmed. Fire! A blinding blue beam lanced from Titanus, striking the small, rocky moon that orbited Altair's third planet. For an instant, nothing seemed to happen. Then the surface began to glow where the beam had struck. The glow intensified, spread, and finally, the entire moon shattered into millions of fragments, its structure completely destabilized by the energy transferred to its core. Silence fell across the bridge. Send the footage to Admiral Kresh, Elena ordered. Remind him that was at minimal power. The Vorak response was not what anyone expected. Rather than caution, the demonstration provoked fury. The entire Vorak fleet began to accelerate toward Titanus, weapons charging. They're launching all fighters and powering up main guns, Sorensen reported incredulously. They're actually attacking. Elena's expression hardened. So be it. Shields to maximum. Target their command ship's weapon systems only. We disable, not destroy. Yet, as Titanus engaged the Vorak fleet, Intelligence Officer Korin burst onto the bridge. Admiral, urgent news. The Vorak have planted nuclear devices across Altair Prime's capital. They're planning to destroy the entire city rather than withdraw. The situation had just escalated beyond all expectations. Elena made a split-second decision that would forever alter the course of galactic history. All weapons to full power. Target every Vorak capital ship simultaneously. But Admiral, Sorensen protested, that would mean thousands of Vorak lives against millions of Altarians. She finished grimly. The choice is clear. Execute the order. Titanus unleashed its full, destructive potential. Multiple plasma beams, each capable of sundering a capital ship, fired in perfect synchronization. The Vorak fleet, for all its fearsome reputation, might as well have been made of paper. Their shields collapsed in seconds, hulls rupturing as the concentrated energy tore through their most powerful defenses like they weren't there. Within minutes, the mighty Vorak battle fleet was reduced to drifting wreckage. Only a handful of ships remained intact, those that had immediately powered down weapons and broadcast surrender signals. Launch rescue operations for survivors, Elena ordered. And get me a secure channel to the Altarian leadership, if any survive. In the aftermath, as Titanus's smaller craft deployed to assist shell-shocked Altarians and secure Vorak prisoners, Elena received a priority communication from Earth. President Mendoza's face appeared, grim but resolved. The Alliance Council has called an emergency session, he reported. News of Titanus has spread faster than we anticipated. They're demanding explanations and threatening sanctions. Let them, Elena replied. We've just saved millions of lives while they debated procedures. Ask them to explain that to the Altarians." A new figure appeared beside Mendoza, Foreign Secretary James Chen. "Admiral Vale, while I appreciate the military success, you've created a diplomatic catastrophe. The alliance is in uproar. Some representatives are calling humans warmongers and secret militarists." "Better that than extinct," she responded sharply. "And better to be feared than exploited." "There's more," Mendoza interjected. "We've received overtures from 7 other species, all considered lesser by Alliance standards. They're requesting protection agreements with Earth. This was unexpected and potentially significant." "The balance is shifting already," Elena observed. "Indeed," Mendoza agreed. "I'm establishing the Titanus Peace Authority with immediate effect. Your mission is expanding. Admiral, Titanus is no longer just a deterrent. It's the foundation of a new alliance, one based on genuine equality." As the communication ended, Lieutenant Sorensen approached with a young Altarian official who had been rescued from the planet's surface. Tall and slender, with luminescent skin that seemed to shift colors with emotion. The Altarian bowed deeply. "I am Talon, third speaker of the Philosophy Guild." He introduced himself, voice melodic despite the translator. "I have been asked to convey our people's gratitude. For millennia, we devoted ourselves to art and thought, believing the Alliance would protect those who chose peace. We were wrong." His skin darkened momentarily. "You humans were right to prepare, to build strength in secret. We built Titanus hoping never to use it," Elena said quietly. "A warrior who loves peace is the most formidable of all," Talon replied. "My people wish to learn from yours, not just about defense technology, but about surviving oppression without losing one's soul. You humans have mastered this art through centuries of struggle." His words struck Elena deeply. Humanity had indeed survived marginalization in the Alliance, using their status as mere workers to mask their true activities, their burning ambition. They had endured, planned, and finally acted, but had they preserved their humanity in the process? Looking around at her crew efficiently coordinating rescue operations, prioritizing medical care for Altarian civilians while treating Vorak prisoners with stern but humane protocols, she felt a surge of pride. Yes, they had maintained their essential humanity, their capacity for compassion alongside their will to fight. In the following days, as Titanus maintained position above Altair Prime, the galactic political landscape transformed. The Alliance Council, forced to acknowledge both their failure to protect the Altarians and humanity's unexpected power, began emergency negotiations with Earth representatives. The Vorak hegemony, its military might shattered, faced internal rebellion as subject worlds seized the opportunity to declare independence. Reports indicated that 3 Vorak colony worlds had already overthrown their governors. More troubling were the continued indications of creative collective involvement. Intelligence Officer Corin's team had decrypted more of the captured communications, revealing patterns that suggested the collective had been manipulating multiple species, encouraging conflicts that eliminated those they deemed evolutionarily redundant. "They've been playing a long game," Corin explained during a briefing. "Culling species that don't fit their vision of galactic development. The Altarians, with their emphasis on artistic expression over technological advancement, were marked for removal." "And humans?" Elena asked. "We were useful tools, until we weren't. There are indications we were next on the list, scheduled for management within the decade." The implications were staggering. The collective, revered architects of the Alliance, supposed paragons of wisdom, had been orchestrating genocides from the shadows. Aboard Titanus, Lieutenant Sorensen had developed an unexpected bond with the Altarian philosopher Talon. Elena found them in the ship's arboretum, where Talon was explaining Altarian concepts of cosmic harmony to an attentive group of officers. "Admiral," Sorensen greeted her. "Talon has been sharing insights about the creative collective that might explain their actions." The Altarian's skin rippled with blue patterns, indicating deep thought. Elena had learned. "The collective believes in directed evolution," Talon explained. "Their philosophy holds that compassion for lesser beings only weakens the galaxy. They see themselves as gardeners, pruning what they consider evolutionary dead ends." "Like your people," Elena said softly. "And eventually yours," Talon agreed. "Humans are remarkably adaptable, a trait the collective initially valued for labor. But your unpredictability, your tendency to question authority, these made you dangerous in their assessment." A communication alert interrupted their conversation. "Admiral to the bridge. Priority message from Fleet Command." The message was disturbing. A collective diplomatic vessel was approaching Altair, demanding immediate audience with both human and Altarian leadership. "They're not waiting for alliance mediation," noted Commander Takahashi. "They're coming directly." "Because they know their influence is threatened," Elena surmised. "Prepare for their arrival, but maintain combat readiness. I don't trust their sudden interest in diplomacy." The collective vessel that entered the system 12 hours later was a marvel of organic technology, a living ship that seemed to flow rather than fly, its pearlescent surface shifting like liquid mercury. It dwarfed most conventional vessels, though it appeared diminutive beside Titanus. The being that transported aboard identified itself as Nexus 7, a designated speaker for the creative collective. Vaguely humanoid, but clearly artificial, its body composed of flowing metallic substances that never quite settled into a fixed form. "Admiral Vale," it greeted in a voice like chimes. "The collective observes with interest humanity's intervention." "Intervention against genocide," Elena corrected, standing firm in the conference room. "A genocide your communications suggest you orchestrated." If the accusation surprised Nexus 7, it showed no reaction. The development of galactic civilization requires management. Some species contribute progression, others impede it. "And who granted you the right to make these determinations?" Elena demanded. "Right derives from ability," the entity replied simply. "The collective possesses the wisdom of 50,000 years of technological and philosophical advancement. Yet you lack basic moral understanding," interjected Talon, who had insisted on attending. "You claim advancement while practicing the most primitive behavior, destroying those different from yourselves." Nexus 7's form rippled. "Primitive. We act with perfect logic, preserving resources for species that will use them effectively. The Altarians produced beautiful artifacts, but contributed no technological innovations in 2,000 years. An inefficient allocation of planetary resources." Elena felt cold fury building. "So efficiency justifies genocide? Let me be clear. Earth now extends protection to Altair and any other world threatened by your management. Titanus is the first of our vessels, not the last." "A provocative stance," Nexus 7 observed. "The collective could eliminate Earth if necessary." "You could try," Elena replied evenly. "But, unlike the Altarians, we've spent centuries preparing for exactly this conversation. Scan our vessel again. Note the antimatter production capacity. Consider what would happen if such a vessel were to breach containment near a collective world." For the first time, Nexus 7 hesitated, its flowing form momentarily stuttering. "You threaten mutual destruction?" "I guarantee consequence for aggression," Elena corrected. "The collective has operated from shadows, manipulating species against each other. That ends today." The standoff lasted several tense moments before Nexus 7 spoke again. "The collective will consider humanity's position. We withdraw to consult." After the entity departed, Talon turned to Elena. "They will not abandon their agenda easily. The collective believes itself the rightful inheritor of the galaxy. Then they'll need to adjust their expectations, Elena replied. Humanity spent generations being underestimated. We're done playing by rules designed to keep us subservient. The encounter with the collective representative marked a turning point. Within days, the Alliance Council, suddenly finding its traditional power structures destabilized, voted to establish a commission investigating the Altair genocide and the collective's possible involvement. President Mendoza addressed the council directly, revealing evidence of systematic marginalization of worker species and calling for fundamental reforms. To the astonishment of many, representatives from 15 previously marginalized worlds stood with Earth, forming the nucleus of what would become the Mutual Defense Compact. Aboard Titanus, Elena received new orders. The vessel would become the flagship of Earth's newly revealed defense fleet, with a mission to protect vulnerable worlds, while diplomats renegotiated humanity's position in galactic affairs. As the massive ship prepared to depart Altair, Elena made a final visit to the planet's surface. The capital city, though damaged, was already showing signs of recovery. Altarian architects were designing new structures to replace those destroyed, while human engineers provided technical assistance. In a small plaza where a memorial to the victims was being constructed, she found Talon directing a team of artists, creating a massive crystal sculpture. It will capture light from Altair's sun, he explained, projecting it as a beam visible from orbit, a reminder of what was nearly lost and what was saved. It's beautiful, Elena said sincerely. We're incorporating elements of human design as well, Talon pointed out. Your species' appreciation for functional beauty complements our more abstract approaches. As they spoke, Lieutenant Sorensen approached with an update. Admiral, Intelligence Officer Korin has completed analysis of the final Vorak transmissions. There's evidence suggesting the collective has similar operations underway in at least 3 other systems. Elena nodded grimly. Our work is just beginning. Looking out across the rebuilding city, where humans worked alongside Altarians in a partnership that would have been unimaginable months earlier, she felt both pride and trepidation. Humanity had emerged from shadows, revealed its strength, and irrevocably altered the galactic balance. Admiral, Talon said softly, my people have a saying. The hand that stops a blow does more than the mind that contemplates peace. For millennia, we chose contemplation. Your people chose action. Perhaps the future requires both. Together, then, Elena agreed, a partnership of ideal and action. As she prepared to return to Titanus, her communication device signaled an emergency alert from long-range sensors. Massive energy signatures had been detected at the galaxy's edge, signatures unlike anything in Alliance records. New threats or old ones, she wondered aloud. Does it matter? Sorensen asked. Whatever comes, we're ready. Elena smiled slightly. Yes, they were ready. Not just humans now, but a growing alliance of species united by common cause, rather than hierarchy. Titanus had begun as humanity's secret weapon, their insurance against extinction. It had become something more, the foundation of a new order, one built on respect rather than dominance. As she boarded the shuttle to return to the massive vessel waiting in orbit, Elena glanced back at the recovering planet. For centuries, humans had been seen as nothing more than workers, useful tools for superior species. That perception had been their greatest asset, allowing them to build in secret what no one believed they could conceive. The galaxy hadn't been ready for what humans could create when pushed too far, and if new threats loomed on the horizon, well, they wouldn't be ready for what humans and their allies could accomplish together. Aboard Titanus, she returned to the command bridge, where the crew stood at attention. Orders, Admiral? Asked Commander Takahashi. Elena looked at the starfield displayed on the main viewport, at the countless worlds that had never truly seen humanity for what it was capable of becoming. Take us out, she said. The galaxy is changing, It's time we helped shape what it becomes. The massive engines hummed to life as Titanus prepared to journey toward new horizons. Not just a warship now, but a herald of transformation, carrying the message that humanity would hide in the shadows no longer.